What's up, everybody? I'm Zach Witovich.
And I'm Charley Whistle.
I can hear that building code music in my head.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun,
bringing us in.
Hot. Yeah, we are doing a holiday party. This is not this last month, but a year ago. And I was on I was playing music, and I just pulled up the intro for the building code, and I played it like three times in a row. Yeah, it was awesome.
You would. Yeah, Charlie's if you're looking for insider baseball about, are we local celebrities? That depends on which host you ask, because I don't talk as much about the building code. Charley will absolutely plug it in any meeting or opportunity.
If you don't promote yourself, who's going to?
That's right. Not that I'm not proud of the building code. I love being the host.
Yeah.
I'm not a self-promoter.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
That's right.
Yin and yang. Wow.
Same page.
Each other's sentences. Well, enough about us. Someone far more famous than us and much more intelligent than us and better content than us.
President and CEO
of Paterson Development in Lighthouse Point, Florida. We have Terry Paterson to talk about how he got into the development space. They are doing some very exciting moves with a yacht club, which we're going to dive into.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I don't think we've had a developer on the podcast before, or at least talking about kind of these large development projects.
Yeah.
So,
and I've had experience working with some in the past, and I always learn a ton. There's all these things that go into how the land gets developed, and I'm really interested to learn and dig a little bit deeper about the process, because I can only imagine what a yacht club would take to stand up.
Yeah, well, let's find out.
Let's get Terry in here. Hey, Terry, welcome to the Building Code. It is wonderful to have you. How are you doing today?
Excellent, thank you. Wonderful to be here. I love Buildertrend, and looking forward to talking to you guys.
Well, that's what we love to hear. For our listeners out there wondering if you could we always like to open up with just a little bit about yourself, your career, and kind of how you ended up in construction.
I'll try to keep it brief. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. Came to built my first houses when I was 21 years old in Cape Town. Came to the US when I was 23, and got involved with a big hotel, a small luxury hotel, development. And that kind of boosted my involvement in that, and then ended up running that hotel. Ended up boosting my construction company very fast, because I had almost a built-in clientele with people coming down to Fort Lauderdale to stay, and could see what I had done and could see the service that I'm able to give, and the size project that I had built. And I was given this instant trust, and they would hire me to renovate their houses back in 2000, 2001, 2002, when there was just tons of renovations going on. And that just grew from there. Something about construction is you can't just start by building the kind of houses we build today. You have to. It doesn't matter what experience you got and how much money you got. Unless you're doing it as a development for yourself, you can't get clients to trust you with these massive 10, 20, $30 million waterfront and estate homes that we build today. So we just built it slowly from renovations, 200,000, and the next 400,000, then 800,000, then $1.5 million renovations, and until someone trusts you to build them a new home, which happened reasonably quick in my career. Small house, and then you're able to show that house, and if you do a good job and get good references and win awards from City of Fort Lauderdale, which helped us a lot for community appearance awards, and then just built it from there, from $1.5 million projects, houses, to 2 million, to 2.5 million, to just you carry on going up and up and up till today. We're doing we have builds of 9 million, builds of 10 million, one build of 13 million, and that's construction cost. So we have I think we have about 8 houses under construction right now, from Miami Beach to Palm Beach. Most of them are the Broward, East Broward, and South Palm Beach area. But we do have a house in South Beach that we're building, and we do have a house in West Del Rey, a very big 20,000 square foot estate home. And we have Lighthouse Point Yacht Club, which is going to be about $160 million development right in the heart of Lighthouse Point. It's a 69, actually a 78 slip marina, but we have about 69, 70 yachts in it because we tend to put larger vessels in it. And it has 5 tennis courts, mini Olympic swimming pool, big clubhouse. So we're about to demolish all the existing, which was built in 1961, and been through a number of renovations. We're about to demolish all of it and start construction on a brand new Lighthouse Point Yacht Club.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of your stats here.
That's a short synopsis.
Yeah, you mentioned that there's going to be a few structures. I see the 43,000 square foot clubhouse, which is really interesting. That's the same size as my personal home in Omaha, really. No, that's insane, Terry. I can't even imagine the scope of this project. You said it's 140 million?
Yeah, so we're building 21 townhouses. They are $3.2 million to $4.2 million townhouses, which we already have half sold. And we're building one big single family home, which will probably be around a $9 to $10 million home. And it's all in a gated community, in a yacht club, on the water, and with the amenities of a 5-star hotel, because you got the yacht club, which has, when we fully staffed, we're at about 120 staff who are taking care of all these people living within the community, like they are living in a condo building or a high-end hotel, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a phenomenal development, and there'll be 43,000 square foot clubhouse building. Then there's another inside that is a massive gym, locker rooms, jacuzzi inside, saunas, steam rooms, outside jacuzzi in the building as well. Then there's a conference room for members. There's a banquet hall that can hold 300 people. We even have a bridal suite in there for brides for weddings. We have a member-only restaurant, 2 member-only restaurants, and 2 member-only bars in that building. So it's quite an undertaking, but we've spent 7 years to get to this point that permits are literally being issued as we speak.
Oh,
well, it sounds like the next time you come on the building code, we need to do a live interview from the steam room out there. I feel like we'd get a little better conversation
it's like
going there. As
a whole tour, honestly, like a live episode.
A little
walked through the property. Maybe we're at the hotel as well.
That'd be a great inaugural travel trip.
That's
for
right.
Me and Zach.
Terry, we're actually talking to our marketing team right now. I'm sure you'll agree, but we just got to get the,
We'd love to come help you show it off.
Yeah.
We won't charge you anything either.
Yeah.
We'll get you to come for the ribbon cutting and as we open for the first time.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Break it down.
I mean, it obviously sounds incredible. My small little brain can't even comprehend what all goes into that. But if you could help me understand, you mentioned, started 5 years ago working on getting everything ready to go. What does, in layman's terms, kind of the planning and process that goes into a project? You have this idea one day, you're approached by an investor, you notice a location. Walk me through kind of the A to Z to get to where you're at today. Obviously, the build process is an entirely different thing, but getting ready for that, what does that kind of look like?
So 7 years ago started. So a lot of people see developments and they come up and they go like, wow, that went quick. They don't realize what happened behind the scenes for years and years just to get to that point. So you first need to locate a piece of land that you feel that you really want. I was very lucky that I found this yacht club was for sale. I tried to buy it a couple times, and other people beat me to the punch, and they pulled out. They didn't follow through with the sale, so eventually I got to the point where I made an offer, and my letter of intent was accepted, and I then immediately started working on the financing, and at the same time, my schematic designs or site layouts that I could present to the city. So before ever buying a project, always go make sure with the local city and planning and zoning if you can actually do what you want to do. Because what we went through here was a total land use change with the county, a zoning change with the city. We had to even rewrite the entire building code for this kind of rewrite a new building code for this kind of a property in the city. It was huge. That takes time, you know. So if you get involved in a project that you're going to have to do that amount of work that literally took 5 years just to get the entitlements, that was before then completing the plans and engineering to submit for another 18 months for permits. That's just to get the entitlements done. 28 public hearings. You can see them online. The
Wow.
2 to 3 to 4 hours of me standing there having to argue, fight, answer, listen, adapt, change, and that just went on and on and on. So you go into a project like this, see if the zoning works. I did that. I thought that the city was open to changing the zoning. Found out, I was told by the head of planning and zoning that they were. And then I went and closed on the property, and then found out that the city didn't want to change the zoning. So I had to then go in to convince the members of the club, convince the surrounding community, to help me convince the city commissioners to then override what the initial will of the city was not to change the zoning. But when you get the people on your side and you get the commissioners on your side, then you can eventually be given the green light to move forward with baby steps. Okay, well, let's see what this will look like. And that's what happened. Well, then they say, well, let's see if the county will give you the land use change. You've always got naysayers as a developer. Something you just have to. It's just a part of the territory. You have to just let it needs to roll off of it like a rolling of a duck's back. Everybody's saying he'll never get this done. The county will never give him the land use changes. It's a yacht club which is trying to do a commercial property and add all these residences into the heart of an existing residential neighborhood. So you just got to go through the motion, submit, go meet with as many county commissioners as you can, convince them that this is the right thing to do, show them personally, one by one, who you are. And then by the time you get to these public hearings and you got the naysayers coming up and trying to speak against your project and giving their reasons why, you've already gone through these one-on-one hour or 2-hour meetings with county commissioners or city commissioners, giving them an idea of what it is so they know what it actually is, as opposed to listening to what people standing up at a dais in these public hearings who don't actually know what it is. So that's the process. And I advise, well, actually then it goes into, once we got that approved, which was out of 19 county commissioners, it was 14 yeses to 5 noes. So that's overwhelmingly approved. The city then allows us to move forward with their process, go through community appearance board. Let's see if they agree with it. Then we figured out we had to write a whole new building code. That takes time. You got to get that approved through all those same processes, planning and zoning board, but then commissioners. You have to then go do your zoning change. Once you get your land use change with the county, you then are allowed to apply for a zoning change in your neighborhood. Well, now you got all the neighbors who live around the area wanting to stand up and say whatever they want to say. Luckily for me, there was a handful of people trying to fight against it, and hundreds and hundreds of people for it. But it's always the handful of people, maybe 2 handfuls of people, who are against something that are the loudest and the ones that tend to like to write the letters, show up at commission meetings or planning and zoning meetings and try to talk against it. So the city has to follow a very strict process, let everybody say their piece and show the community, that they are making me adapt to whatever their needs or the city's needs are, which happens. So that takes time. There is just there's no quick way around it. But again, you go meet with planning and zoning board members individually before you go into these hearings. You go meet with commissioners individually, present your case to them before you go into these meetings, because you're very limited in the meetings. You can only show so much. And that's what I advise to anybody trying to do this is take the time to meet one-on-one with whoever you're going to do a public presentation to, including the naysayers. When those naysayers stand up, what they're actually doing is they have to stand up there, give them their name, where they live, who they are, and it allows me to now be able to go and talk to them and show them one-on-one, listen, what you're thinking I'm going to be doing, that's not the case. Here it is. And you do that. You go hat in hand and just try to make everybody happy. And that takes time. It takes time. But we did, and got all the entitlements approved by February 9th, 2022. And we then moved forward with engineering. It took us about 6 months to complete that. Well, less than 6 months. Then by June of 2023, I'm sorry, by June of 2022, we then submitted all 7 of our master permits for townhouses, clubhouse, and all the auxiliary buildings at site. That's how it goes. It's a long process. It's millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds cheap. And honestly, 7 years, I can't believe that's all it took. I've been like, this feels like a 15-year process, easy. So kudos to you for getting it down to 7.
Most people have to go through it. It's you don't realize when you're seeing a dilapidated shopping center or a dilapidated property and you wonder why it's sitting there like that. Well, the owners are going through this process in the background.
That actually, now that you say that, that's what I was thinking. I was like, why does anyone go into commercial development? It just sounds like an absolute headache.
Well, it sounds like you have a very promising career in politics when you're done with the development side of things. A ton of practice there.
Yeah. No, thank you.
quick answer on that one, Charlie. That's a that's
yeah. Well, listen, you do all of this. You do all of this for money, not for prestige. I think who was it? Chip LaMarca, he's our Republican state rep for Florida right now. He said at a speech last year, he said something that resonated. He said, if you're in big development, you got to be in politics. If you're not in politics, you're not going to get big stuff like this taken care of and approved. Yeah, and it's just making people happy, and that's what politics is, I guess. Finding where the problem areas are and solving them, appeasing people.
I am interested in you immigrated from South Africa, and came to the United States. Did you envision you'd be doing these large community developments from the beginning? I've met a few developers, and I always find none of them really went out to be a developer. They kind of found themselves in it. But then it's fascinating to me because I've never understood how these big projects come into existence. So, how did you decide, or did you decide, I'm going to be in large developments someday, and that was like always the vision? Or is it something you kind of fell into?
Yeah, I don't know if fall into it is the right word, but you build yourself up into it. I'm 25 years in the United States now, and 23 years ago started my construction company formally. And you just start small, and as opportunities arise, you take them. As Kenny Rogers says, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, know when to walk away and know when to run. And that's a skill. So as you're growing and things come across your plate, a lot of and what other people say is business is a part luck and part knowing when to say yes, when to say no, when to give up on something as you're starting it and realize this is not going to work, and and when to just run. And that starts by, while you're building, people often come to you and say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that? Do I say yes? Do I say no? And someone will come to you with a smaller project. Somebody, you might decide, hey, I see this amazing piece of land, let me buy it. You start to figure out, you think you have this idea what you can do with it. Half the time you find out that's not what you can do with it, so you adapt, and then you get stuck with a project. And then somebody sees that and they say, hey, I've got this project over here. Do you want to partner with me and you be the builder? And let's build this 6-unit development, 12-unit development. And it just grew from there into eventually we just finished a 29-unit development, about a $65 million development with 24 yacht boat slips in Lauderdale by the Sea. That was, I mean, another one where you don't realize you're gonna get into something as big until you're in it. I said, yeah, let's take on this land. Oh wow, there's plans completed. Let's have a look at these plans. Yeah, okay, well, let's do it. Didn't realize how this would turn out into 3 city blocks, 2 entire streets rebuilt, FPL power underground, new city fire lines put in. It just happens.
Yeah.
The same thing happened here at the yacht club when I initially bought it. I just wanted to initially just wanted to renovate, do a huge renovation on this club, own a marina, and sell off 10 parcels of land, let other people or me build them a house on the land. But that evolved and evolved into this $150 million development. So yeah, sometimes it just happens and you just got to go with it.
I think this has been an eye-opening episode for me already, just from the planning process, the politics, all the different intricacies of people you have to talk to and get approval from and get to back you. This is definitely, I don't think we've ever had anyone like this on the podcast before.
For us, we took over about 2 years ago. I don't think we've had a developer on the building code. It's a very interesting perspective because you have such a much more global end-to-end picture of how the land gets to the place to where you can even build on it, which is a totally different ball game.
Right. I think we've had builders that build developments, but we've never had kind of the front end point of view before. So I'm curious on a project this large, then how does the actual build, like now it's time to do the work, right? Well, work, some would argue the first part was easier. Yeah.
The construction part, you're like, I can do that in my sleep.
I'm just wondering, I'm guessing maybe not Zach because he talks to more customers than I do, but what does the actual project development look like now when it comes time to build? And you'd mentioned that you use Buildertrend and some technology on the back end to help facilitate. There's a lot of moving pieces coming in here. You have architects, you have designers, you have builders, you have subcontractors that you're working with. So I'm just kind of curious how that functions, and is it as chaotic as the front end, or did you say, it's a lot easier from here on out?
Okay, so from once we start building, we're following a set of plans, engineering drawings, shop drawings. We have set structures, set schedules, and it's what we do every single day. It's very different to getting to this point. Getting to this point, you're dealing with opinions, politicians,
right?
And you just need to be able to adapt as things change. Once we're at this point, I can should I share my Buildertrend with you and show you some things?
Yeah, we better not, because we put the episode on YouTube. So as much as I'd love to show the world your Buildertrend account, it's probably better that we don't.
So what I wanted to show you was the schedule. Like we put together a big phasing plan on Buildertrend schedules, with all the links and predecessors and everything that you would normally do for a typical build schedule. But the phasing plan will start with, okay, we have 7 master permits that need to go in first. We have these multiple sub permits that need to go in. They will all be on that phasing plan, and all linked to, once you get all of that, then you start construction. And but the phasing plan is very broad, and it starts with okay, we're going to be building a yacht club building, then the townhouse building 1, building 2, building 3, building 4. We're building a tennis center, and all of that's on the. Then we got to do site work. But before you can start with any of this, you got to start with demolition. You got to get your underground civil work done, sewer, water, power. You got to fight with FBL to actually show up and get their wires in underground. Then you start your vertical construction and you start following another schedule, which is each building has its own Buildertrend schedule that's extremely intense, right down to when and how you call inspections, right down to checking the burn on the steel, right down to ordering the material. A really intense schedule that I've spent 8 years perfecting your Buildertrend schedules.
I'm a little afraid to look, actually.
Yeah,
I bet it's rock
intense.
solid. Yeah. Intense.
It is, and it's huge to the point that I've had to call you guys and say, "Hey, I'm trying to do some changes, but it used to hang up on me, and I was told because it's too intense, there's too much." But that's what it's no longer the case. You got whatever you guys have done is solved that problem, and you
Like, get Terry more bandwidth. We need to juice this schedule.
But it's that intense that it actually can teach you how to build one of these big 10, 20, $30 million homes, one of these big 2, 3, 4-story townhome developments. It's that intense. So we follow a schedule and we stick to it. We have a meeting once a week with my project managers and supervisors and all my staff. We have a look at the schedules and we have a look at if anything's changing and why. We discuss it, we figure out the problems, and we move forward. So that's how construction goes. It's we utilize Buildertrend, I would say, pretty intensely. You then get into your to-do lists and your choice items, and we use that to be able to send those to-do lists and checklists out to all of our subcontractors, and it really helps to follow through Buildertrend, because once we set those to-do lists, and I as the owner check on my staff once a week and see what they're doing, but then Buildertrend keeps emailing them and annoying everybody saying, "Hey, you haven't done this yet, haven't done this yet." It's awesome. So, the construction side is gonna be pretty easy. There's a lot of, we have a 10-acre property, and 7.5 acres of it is going to be under development at one time, and it seems like a lot, but it's really not. You do have to plan around when you're pouring concrete or when you're doing underground work, because you need to be able to get trucks in. You need to be able to also keep fire lanes open and secure and emergency lanes open. That gets a little hairy, but all that stuff is pre-planned. You don't even get your entitlements approved until you prove that you have a plan and phasing plans for all those things. And now all we have to do is literally follow the phasing plans that have been presented to the city, follow the drawings, follow everything. It becomes easy now to build. That is the plus side when you do a big development and commercial. Most of the stuff is thought out up front.
Right.
Whereas when we're building the big residential homes that we build, homeowners do not have the ability, because they don't have the experience to be able to think about everything up front. And even if they do, and you give them, they do get a great set of plans, and they get a great set of designer drawings. Inevitably, we're halfway through. We're constantly throughout the project changing, which is why residential homes take a lot longer to build than commercial projects. It's purely because commercial projects, nothing's going to change. If you change anything, you have to go back to the city, back through planning and zoning or community appearance board, back to planning and zoning, back to the commissioners. It's a nightmare. So you absolutely don't. You got the plans, you follow the plans, that's it. So that allows you to plan ahead. We can plan months ahead on what's going to happen, what we should order, who's going to be here at this time. Residential homes, you do that, but those always go sideways because of the vast amount of changes that happen.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say homeowners can't control themselves. They just they go to Amazon. They're like, oh, I actually want this.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's not that. It's when I'm doing a plan or dealing with interior designers, I can see, looking on a piece of paper, I can see what the finished product's going to look like. I know what it's going to look like just from looking at a 2D black and white interior design drawing or plan or engineering drawing. Homeowners cannot do that because that's not what they do. They have their own jobs. They're all a lot more successful than me, the people that we build houses for, but they got their own jobs that they're probably excellent at. And you have to expect that. But for this development, that can't happen. You get given some strict timelines by cities on how quick you have to build things, and you have to stick to those timelines.
That makes a lot of
Plus,
sense.
you want to open. You want the commercial side of the development to open as quick as possible.
Right.
Plus, you want to finish the residential side so you can get paid, get the money for it,
Right.
pay down your debt. In fact, that's something that we have to focus on as well with large scale development, is the massive construction loans that go into it. That's a huge part of being able to do this. Can you qualify for the kind of construction loans you need? Do you have enough cash that's required to be able to do these things? And in today's banking world, that's a little tough.
Right.
I've luckily resolved it, but it's from a year ago. You can get a 75% loan to value on a big development. Till today, banks are 50 to 60% if you're lucky. And commercial lenders right now, people are saying they're not even closing any commercial loans because we have a massive office building problem that's already started last year and about to get worse this year. And it's going to leave a lot of banks in a lot of trouble. So they're being real careful. But you can't, if you want to get into doing a development, you can't start. You should never look at, when you start a development and you buy a property, you should never look at what's happening in the world today. Like most people say, oh man, the economy is terrible right now. I don't want to go and buy a project just because you never know. No, that's when you should be buying the project, because these things there are multiple cycles that you go up and down through while you're just trying to get through the entitlement and permitting phase. And you don't know what it's going to be 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years later when you actually start to build and need to get the sales done. So just start and adapt as things change. And that's what we've done. And it's worked out great.
Yeah, it's worked out incredible. This has been an absolutely fascinating conversation for me. I think we may have to add you to our short list of people that we need to bring back on. We're already over time, and I feel like we could talk for another 2 hours, hopefully in the steam room of the new yacht club, but we'll save that for next time.
Have your clothes on if you're in the steam room, please.
Oh, of course. I mean, we joked about
It's a family program. Don't worry.
Yeah. This is PG rated program here. But thank you so much for your time and for enlightening my questions. This was truly fascinating. So I appreciate you coming on today, Terry.
Yeah, it's only a pleasure. Anytime. Great meeting you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Charles? No response. He's just not with us today.
Well, we were gonna ask a question, or
no, I just wanted to see what you would do.
Oh,
keep you on your toes a little bit.
Yeah.
What'd you learn about development from Terry?
I learned a ton. I learned that I would be very bad at it. Having to.
It's about eliminating the options as much as finding which ones fit.
Yeah, absolutely. I can knock that one off. But a ton of respect for the work that he does. I'd say that was an eye-opening experience for me, which I said on the interview multiple times. Just a ton of work, a ton of planning. I could tell both of us when he said, oh, when you drive by that mall, you're wondering why no one's doing anything with it. Trust me, they are. I've definitely done that before.
Me too.
The place has been
like as recent as yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was fascinating. I would love to see, the Lighthouse Point Yacht Club that they're building. That sounds like it's going to be incredible. But also I just love his journey and talking about how to build up and how to scale your business and bet on yourself. I thought was motivating and inspiring for anyone listening, regardless of what profession they're in. So yeah, really enjoyed talking with Terry and definitely learned a lot.
Yeah, that was a really good talk shop episode, is what I call it. Like we got deep into the construction process, the nitty gritty, what you have to do. When you start talking about permitting and inspections and all the
city council.
And you know me, background in another life, I would have been an urban planner. I was like, I'm actually really enjoying this. And it's really interesting to learn about how society just kind of, how these things happen, because you kind of live in your neighborhood and you're just kind of like, the building's always been there.
Exactly.
There's a story that some poor developer had to go fight the city for years in order to make it come to life for people to enjoy. So I would love to have Terry back, dive deep into that other areas, because he has just all types of things. And I am interested to check out his Buildertrend account. So
I think as soon as we hang up here,
that'd be a fun series.
Oh, wow.
We like dive deep.
That would be a fun series, and just like we give them our own like very subjective ratings. Like we don't just pull up all-star accounts.
We also just live coaching out here on the building code.
Yeah,
Terry inspired us.
Yeah, well, that will not come to fruition, I'm sure, but as always, a fun idea to have. And if you want to hear more fun ideas, join us again next week on the Building Code. I'm Charlie Birtwhistle.
And I'm Zach Matovich.
And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel for exclusive content brought to you by Buildertrend.